So the Colts have fever players out. Sophie was not there, but they give everyone jerseys. And Caitlyn Clark, grew up in Iowa, is a Chiefs fan, refused to wear the Colts jersey. She just held it up like this. And she hasn't gone out and said, like, I didn't do it because I'm a Chiefs fan, but the internet was like, she's a real one.
I love it.
And it's just...
Sophie Cunningham just dropped an interview that has everyone talking, from cussing out leadership to calling out the league, and now throwing some spicy takes about Caitlyn Clark. This one's wild. Sophie didn't hold back, not even for a second. And honestly, it's the most real we've heard from anyone in months. Do you think Sophie's being honest, or just stirring the pot again? All right, let's get into this, because Sophie Cunningham's latest interview was pure gold. Are you watching the finals?
I guess watched,
no.
Hell no. I haven't watched a lick of the WNBA. I don't know what's going on. I talked to my teammates like the day that we did exit interviews and all of that. And I haven't, I need a cleanse. Like, I'm booking vacations. West, we need to go on a vacation and do a podcast.
Now, before we go any further, let's be clear. Sophie has never been afraid to speak her mind. Whether it's roasting her own team, calling out the WNBA front office, or casually swearing mid-interview, Sophie always finds a way to say exactly what everyone else is too scared to. But this time, she went off about everything.
I can win and roam it. Like, I can be like, I'm here. They brought, I'll put this shit on. Her not doing that is so incredible. I hope she knows how awesome that was.
You sent it yesterday, and I was like I'm not surprised by it. I'm not, because do you know what? Everyone's always trying to get her to wear something or do something, and
yeah.
The setting was simple. Sophie hopped on the Show Me Something podcast back home in Missouri, sipping coffee out of a mug and talking like she just didn't care who was listening. No media filter, no PR tone, just Sophie being Sophie. And somehow, in between stories about horses, weather, and baby fever, she managed to touch every WNBA headline that's been making noise, especially Caitlyn Clark. So, let's start with that part first. You know how the Indianapolis Colts invited Indiana Fever players to a game recently? Everyone got Colts jerseys. Nice little PR move, right? Except Caitlyn Clark wasn't playing along. She grew up in Iowa. She's a massive Chiefs fan. So when they handed her a Colts jersey, she didn't put it on. She just held it up. That's it. Didn't wear it. Didn't fake a smile. Just held it like, yeah, thanks, but I'm good. She just didn't care who was listening. No media filter, no PR tone, just Sophie being Sophie. And somehow, in between stories about horses, weather, and baby fever, she managed to touch every WNBA headline that's been making noise.
So the Colts have fever players out. Sophie was not there, but they give everyone jerseys. And Caitlyn Clark, grew up in Iowa, is a Chiefs fan, refused to wear the Colts jersey. She just held it up like this. And she hasn't gone out and said, I didn't do it because I'm a Chiefs fan, but the internet was like, she's a real one.
I love it.
And it's just it's so good. So good.
And the internet went nuts. Fans were calling her a real one, saying Caitlyn was staying loyal, and memes were flying all over Twitter like confetti. That's when Sophie chimed in, and her reaction was everything you'd expect from her. She said straight up, "That was awesome. I hope Caitlyn knows how cool that was." Then she laughed and said, "I'm not even surprised by it." That's totally her. Now, keep in mind, Sophie wasn't even at the game. She said she got the hell out of there before the event. But when she saw the video online, she couldn't stop hyping Caitlyn up. She said Caitlyn's move, refusing to wear the Colts jersey, was real and incredible. And she's right. It's such a small thing, but in a league where everyone's expected to play nice and follow the PR script, that kind of authenticity stands out. Sophie basically said Caitlyn's moment was her favorite thing to happen all week. She even joked about how Caitlyn could have worn it and smiled, but the fact she didn't cave made it even better. And honestly, this moment says a lot about why fans love both of them. Caitlyn Clark is unapologetically herself, and Sophie Cunningham is unapologetically loud. When one outspoken player recognizes another, it's a rare bit of mutual respect that fans actually enjoy watching. Now, that was just the start, because Sophie didn't stop there. She also talked about her own recent controversies, especially the one where she cussed out WNBA leadership and got fined for it. Remember when she went on a rant saying league executives don't know anything about basketball? Yeah, that one. Well, in this interview, Sophie basically said, "Yeah, I said it, and no, I'm not taking it back." She explained it perfectly. She said, "I'm not going back on what I said, but maybe how I said it could have been better." Then she laughed and added, "I might have been a little harsh, but it's also just me." That's such a Sophie thing to say. Half apology, half mic drop. She even admitted she wants to be more mindful in how she talks because when she cusses, people act like she doesn't know what she's talking about. Her exact words, "When I cuss, people think I'm uneducated, but I do know what I'm talking about. I just cuss." Honestly, fair point. She's passionate. That's her whole brand. Then the host asked her if she regretted those comments about Kathy Engelbert or the league office, and Sophie didn't hesitate. She said, "No, I meant every word. Maybe I shouldn't have cussed, but I meant it." That's the kind of blunt honesty fans wish more players had. No walking on eggshells, no hiding behind media training, just saying what everyone's already thinking. But the best part? Sophie didn't just talk about herself. She defended Caitlyn Clark again without even realizing it. When asked if she's been watching the WNBA finals, she flat out said, "Hell no, I haven't watched a lick of the WNBA. I'm on a break." Then she added, "Good luck to whoever wins. I honestly don't care who wins." Now, before anyone jumps on her for that, she actually made a solid point. She said after a long season filled with injuries, chaos, and drama, she just needed to unplug. And that's something a lot of players feel, but never admit publicly. Sophie explained that when you're in it, competing every day and things go wrong, you need time to rest. Watching other teams play right after you lose? It's painful. So, when she said she's on a WNBA cleanse, it wasn't shade, it was burnout, and honestly, after the season, who can blame her? She said she's been relaxing, hanging out with family, and just trying to live a simple life for once. Meanwhile, she's still throwing in those sarcastic one-liners that remind everyone why she's so entertaining. She said, "I'm booking vacations, I'm over it. There's drama, but I'm done." Then she joked, "Let's talk about fashion instead." Only Sophie could transition from talking about league fines to peacoats and Christmas trips in the same breath. But let's rewind to that Caitlyn Clark jersey moment for a second, because it actually revealed something deeper. Sophie didn't just think it was funny, she thought it was powerful. She said it showed that Caitlyn knows who she is and doesn't care about trying to please everyone. That's rare in a league where players are constantly expected to be grateful and polished. Sophie even said she hopes Caitlyn realizes how iconic that small moment was. And you know what? She's not wrong. That clip of Caitlyn holding the jersey became one of the most shared WNBA posts of the week. It showed confidence, without saying a single word. Sophie called it awesome, and fans agreed, because let's be honest, Caitlyn Clark could have done the usual PR move, smiled, and thrown it on. But she didn't. She just stood her ground politely, and the fans loved it. That's why Sophie relates to her, because both of them are real. They don't fake things for social media or for league approval. Now, toward the middle of the interview, Sophie switched gears and started talking about how being outspoken in the WNBA comes with consequences. She said she feels like she represents players who can't say certain things publicly, so she feels responsible for being their voice. Her words, "I represent a lot of people who don't say stuff, so I want to make sure I say it right." That's actually a rare level of self-awareness from her. She knows her platform matters. She knows she's not just speaking for herself, but for players who can't risk a fine or losing sponsorships. And that right there is what separates her from most. She's loud, sure, but it's not just noise. She actually cares about what she's saying. Then she dropped one more gem that got fans talking. When the topic of WNBA leadership came up again, Sophie admitted that she still believes many of the executives don't understand basketball. She said, "They might be good business people, but they don't know basketball." That line exploded all over social media the first time she said it, and now she's doubling down. She didn't backtrack. She didn't apologize. She just explained why she feels that way, because the people making the biggest decisions for players don't seem to understand the game they're building around. It's hard to argue with that. Now, if you've followed Sophie for a while, you know this is exactly what fans expect from her. She's the player who says what everyone whispers behind closed doors. And the best part? Even when she's saying something controversial, she's somehow still charming about it. Her energy is a mix of country girl honesty and don't mess with me attitude, which makes everything she says sound like half an interview and half a stand-up routine. She'll cuss, laugh, drop a serious take, and then start talking about horses like nothing happened. That's her magic. And that's exactly what this latest interview reminded everyone of. Now, near the end of part 1 of this script, let's tie this back to Caitlyn Clark one more time, because you can tell Sophie genuinely respects her. She sees the way the league constantly tries to use Caitlyn's name for headlines and sponsorships, and you can feel that Sophie's tired of it. She's basically saying, let the players breathe. Let Caitlyn just be Caitlyn. And it's funny, because even while Sophie was trying to stay chill on her podcast, you could still hear that same energy. She's defending players like Caitlyn without even trying to.